He's selling a guitar. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's true. He's
Get over here.
selling a guitar.
Should we get another couple of chairs and come in the back just in case anyone else?
Yeah, Jeff can do it. Grab a couple of chairs.
Yeah, we're from.
I don't know. It's a bit toy now.
Stations is good, I think.
Oh, the cheap machine.
Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check, check. There's video going in
Oh, yeah, we're attached.
there. Looks okay.
Aim it at your face.
Good. You can have a seat, Jeff. It's fine. Look at that. Lovely.
This is a bit less comfortable to what we're used to.
I know. I'm
Normally,
yeah, it's a bit weird.
yeah, normally we just sat in Packhams drinking
Water.
cup of tea,
Oh no. I'm gonna have to do
watching
something.
football. Really know how this is going to pan out, so like it's probably just as awkward for us as for everyone. So
No, it's a lot more for me.
yes, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Jay's always, it's always the most awkward for Jay.
Yeah,
We just all need to lock eye contact.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
that's fine. That's fine. I can do that. I can hold eye contact for an uncomfortable amount of time.
Jay Cross, just quickly, because I've just moved something. Do your
Hello.
loudest talking.
Hello.
There we go.
Ow!
That sounds about right. Cool, good. That's going, I think.
Hi.
Yeah,
There
just
is no.
talk into it.
Can you hear us?
Yes, just about. All good. Cool. This is really weird, by the way.
It's really weird.
Right.
I like the new shop layout though. I think.
What, just
Imagine
like
that.
amps?
This is the new, this is the new
Imagine
desk for
Wait,
people
let's-
just sitting in here.
Okay, so we are recording. Good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the gak.co.uk Guitar Shop podcast. I'm your host, Mark Packham. Who is with me this evening?
Hello, I'm Jay. I'm the assistant manager here in the guitar, literally here in the guitar store.
And my name's Matt, and I'm the manager, which finally makes sense now we're actually here.
And I'm Joe, and I'm here for bass-related queries.
You're also unbelievably loud.
Oh, sorry.
What, me or Joe?
No, Joe. Joe's the only one who talked into the microphone properly. And for those on the live stream and who can't see at the moment, and for people at home who are listening to this after, well, not live, we're joined by a kind of studio audience, as it were. Do you want to make some noise? Say hello. There we go. An enthusiastic
Yeah.
bunch.
Hello, Wembley.
Both of them are very excited to be here.
You know what? We've just got a soundboard just behind me.
Yeah. Bow, bow, bow. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming down. This is really weird and it's a bit bizarre, but I guess we'll just do the podcast as normal.
Just pretend that the people in front of us.
And if you guys want to shout questions or want to chat about anything, like just throw something at Krista and he'll pass you the mic so that we can hear you and so everyone who's watching at home can hear you.
Any of the questions that are submitted here, is anyone here that submitted any?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
But anyway, I took a load of questions off the forum, so we'll go through and do some questions.
Double-sided.
How is everyone, by the way?
Good. I was the only one who actually worked today, so...
You didn't do any work today?
Oh, no, wait. No, you were at work today.
Yeah,
Hey, I was at work today.
I wasn't
Oh,
at
yeah.
work today.
No, Jay's
I've
the
come in
only one who
especially.
You've come out of your way to come here.
I had to come in from Horsham. I tell you what though, did anyone drive here? Yeah. Did you drive? Where'd you come from? Out of Brighton? Yeah, the Crawley. Yeah, see, exactly. The new bit of the A23 off of Handcross Hill. Lovely now. It's great. It's a pleasure, that bit of 23. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't believe you listen to this every week. Started talking about the quality of the A23 already.
I tell you what, if you drove, you would know how much of a pleasure it is after that 40 mile an hour bit. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
So, what have we got to catch up on since the last time we got together?
I don't think we've all.
We haven't all been on a podcast for a long time.
Is it since
You and
before I
me
went
haven't
away?
been on a podcast since.
Oh, yeah, because you weren't here last week. It was just me and Packham.
It's been me or Jay missing a
God.
podcast for like a month and a half.
Is it that
yeah.
long?
Yeah.
We had to have some bass players on, didn't we?
Mm.
Krista.
That was pretty
Don't
intense.
say hello.
So what have we missed? What have we? What's been going on this week? What's been going on in
Loads
store?
of new custom shop stuff.
Loads of new Gibsons.
Oh,
Really
yeah,
all the
awesome
stuff I
Gibsons.
Yeah, Matty went away.
Like the sparkling blue one.
Yeah.
Very
No,
nice.
That you can see
Just
on the
behind
oh,
us.
you can see on the screen.
I
so
was,
if you're
I was
live
just about to
streaming
say
it.
this is great radio.
Yes, it's great radio, but you can see it.
For those people will be listening to this.
There
without
is a
this. Mind you, the
sparkling
video
blue.
will be up as well. So if you want to see this sparkly blue guitar, then there will be
Check
the video
out the
that we're
podcast
filming
video.
right now up there.
Quite obviously a guitar that I would pick.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely not understated, is it?
In fact, the more you look around, the more
The
I
more
notice
sparkle
there are
guitars
sort
you
of there's the 2 sparkles over there.
3.
Sort of creeping in around the
Maybe we
around the
should.
shop.
That's weird. They're still
Oh, I
here.
also you can't see it on the screen, but there's a 57 aged for people who are there. There's a 57 aged Les Paul up there, which is particularly nice.
That's completely brilliant. I took photos of that the other day.
I know.
I need to put them on the Facebook group.
Yeah,
Actually, wasn't it Guitar of the Day on the Facebook page?
I can't remember.
it's quite rare that you actually see that like 57s like that with a Bigsby as well. And I don't know if it's in the warehouse yet, but we've got the equivalent of that with the candy apple red top,
Really?
which is even rarer. So it's not even a gold top; it's a candy apple.
Fair
Is
enough.
that is that a new colour for Gibson? Because the
Candy
that
apple
three,
red.
the 336 is because
I
they've
think-
done any candy apples for
Maybe they just caught up with Fender.
maybe.
Finally, after 50 years, they're getting there.
Maybe we should do candy apple red.
I do remember seeing like a 3-tone sunburst 335 for the first time and thinking, wait, there's something not right about that. That's like a Fender color on a Gibson.
Yeah.
How's that happen?
Do you guys remember Joe Bonamassa?
Krista.
Krista, come on, it's your only job.
Do you guys remember Joe Bonamassa had a 335 in Candy Apple Red when we went to see him?
Really?
He did. Oh yeah, he had, and it said Joe Bonamassa across the fretboard.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That should be a
He
standard.
played that when we went to see him.
That should be a standard. No, he had the Les Paul, didn't he? Everything he's got's got Joe
Oh,
Bonamassa in full.
Does
length.
it?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know how he tells where the notes are.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's
He's written them on the top of the headstock, I think, on the across the top of the
Yeah.
neck.
Ah, right.
He's playing an M.
Yeah.
It's the only man who could do it. That's why he's so unbelievably famous.
Yeah, actually, that was the first time I saw one of those 1-watt Marshall offset customs.
Oh yeah, he had it in the dressing room.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I think he said, like, I'm sure he said he had something to design with them, but I don't think he had anything to do with the design.
Who knows?
He was like, yeah, I got one of these. From
Allegedly.
These signature amp screens.
Yeah. That's where do we
And the signature brick.
and the signature
Oh, the
carpet? Did that come out?
No, I don't think they ever released the carpet.
Okay, I wouldn't be
A
surprised.
Joe Bonamassa signature.
Well,
carpet.
when we saw him, and he had they just picked it up. I think
Okay.
before that show.
I don't remember. I didn't watch the video. I don't watch your videos.
Oh right, is it
So-
Because you're in it.
too good? Or,
Yeah. Okay.
Jealous.
yeah, and he had a massive stage carpet built. It said Joe Bonamassa on it.
Cool.
Don't
So-
forget to play.
It's this generation's kiss.
What, Joe Bonamassa? Joe Bonamassa pinball machine
I'm
coming to a town near you.
You
soon.
can coming soon to a Gibson specialist near you, a Joe Bonamassa coffin.
Yeah,
That's,
nice.
wait, no, Fender. That's what we talked about it.
Oh yeah, you switched sides,
Fender.
switched
Yeah.
to Fender. Anyway, so I thought what we could do with something we've not done for a long time while people are here and the stuff is actually in front of them. Let's do some staff picks.
Oh, what a good idea.
With loads of questions to do, but I think.
Some enthusiasm there.
You made it sound really improv. That's good.
Oh, what a good idea!
It was my idea. That was why I was.
It was your idea. Bringing an old feature back. Good.
Exactly.
It's like Coca-Cola Classic.
Exactly like that.
New Coke. So what's everyone gone for? Jay, what have you been playing and what do you want to share with the lovely people? around us?
So Jeff from Roland has come down today. He isn't just a mythical creature. He
might
is
be hiding
actually
in the
a
back there.
legit person.
He's behind you.
And he
Look at that wave.
he brought the Roland Blues Cube, which we've been talking about for I don't know ages. He's nodding,
Was that when they
ages.
announced it? Was it September last year?
You're not getting that mic over to Jeff.
He
So
doesn't
he said
have-
September.
And yeah, I was as I am skeptical about most of these things. I was skeptical, and actually, it sounds really good. The thing that I really like about it is so it's got 2 channels. It's got clean and crunch, but the 2 channels you can run one, you can run the other, or you can run them both concurrently. And we had a quick chat about it. I don't think there's anything current that you can do it with, can
that
you?
will do like 2 channels on at the same time,
Yeah.
like switchable. The
Yeah.
only thing I can remember is, and I think we talked about this on the podcast before, a lot of the PV Mark series bass amps would allow you to do that, to like join channels, but also like A, B, Y, the channels
Right.
in
But
the
nothing
amp.
current.
'Cause
I
it's
mean,
a-
by
it's a-
that token, the bassman would do it as well.
Well, yeah,
Via patching.
yeah. You're essentially
Yeah, but
you're
you're not
patching
running-
the inputs, aren't you?
Are you? Like, is it like a clean drive?
Yeah,
like,
because
mix,
yeah.
or is
So
it-
you can. It's weird. You can either. So the way that with the foot controller, you've got a four-way selector switch. It's the GAFC.
There we go.
Thank you.
We knew there's a reason you were here.
The GAFC. And it's a 4-button controller, and the first button changes channel from clean to drive. The other channel brings in whichever channel
Okay.
isn't currently on.
That's quite
And
cool.
so, yeah, it works really, really well. If you've got because I think we were talking about it, me and Joe were talking about it. If you just had it set, so like, you just got a little bit of drive and then you want to kick in like a clean channel to bring it in as well without losing the sort of depth of the drive. It sounded really, really good. The reverb is really intense. So you've got to sort of wind it back a little bit more than you sort of normally would.
Have you got selectable different types
Yeah.
of reverb on there?
No,
I was gonna
it's just
plug-
reverb.
No, just
I was
reverb
gonna
and
plug it in,
tremolo.
but you guys kept stealing it.
The
Yeah.
attenuation's really interesting on there as well.
Yeah, so you've got,
So what we got?
you can switch between half a watt, 15 watts, 45 watts, and on the larger one, which is the one we've got here, 80 watts, or there's a smaller one, which is a little bit cheaper, which is 60 watts, and the smaller one doesn't have a effects loop. But I think otherwise it's the same. Doesn't have tremolo either, but who needs tremolo? Just turn the reverb up.
Well, you say that, but actually, what I was surprised about it, or one of the things I was surprised about plugging it in, is the tremolo actually sounds
It
like
does
really
really
good.
an old Fender, which you'd think it'd be quite kind of like clean, but it's not really like that. It gives it a real
I'm
swamp
assuming.
sound.
Question for Jeff. I'm assuming it's not the TR2 circuitry. It's completely redesigned.
Yeah.
So they're brand.
Yeah. He said, yeah. So the
You've got
reverb
electric
isn't
to get to.
it's not the RV5, and it's not any of the Boss Fender reverbs
Brand new.
either. They are specifically designed, which is good. Which is one of the things that Roland do very well. Another thing, the speaker is a new speaker as well, so it's not been nabbed from another amp, and it's not just like a Celestion or something. It's specifically designed for those amps, and that's one of the big things with a lot of the Roland gear is it's why the Micro Cube is so much louder, and same with the Street Cube. Why the fact that it's only like 2 watts or something, the Street Cube really still kicks it out because the speakers have been specifically designed to kick out that sort of like a wattage of that. I don't know what I'm saying. But
So,
it's-
correct me.
yeah, I sort of fell apart, but it's specifically designed for the amp, and I was very skeptical, but actually, I really, because Jeff was here in front of me, I really didn't want to like it, and I did want to find ways to pick it apart, but I actually do really like it. I think it sounded very, very good.
Me and Luke got to shoot a video of it being demoed today, where we've kind of taken it through all the settings and everything. So that's
Yeah.
going to be up in the next few days for everyone to see. But
Or even better, there's one right here. People could just try it out at
That's
the end.
also true.
After this,
Are we going to keep streaming after we finish so people can? I suppose you just hear a load of noise.
I don't think
you would
Yeah,
just
I
hear a
don't-
load of noise. How good do you think the audio quality is going through?
I don't know. We're going through a Roland Duo Capture EX.
There we go.
That's
Everything's
right, into a
sorted.
15-year-old Mac.
What are we talking about? That's state of the art, that one. But yeah, I think what we should do after, as everyone's come down, is if you want to plug some specific stuff in, we'll do that. But also we should maybe have that and get a Hot Rod Deluxe. I guess that's a similar thing. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
amp we always
Ooh.
talk about.
We're gonna put it to
Um,
the test.
Yeah, we'll give it a proper test, and I'm kind of confident that it's going to do.
I'm
all
really
right.
Stand up to
confident.
it. Yeah,
Worth
yeah.
mentioning, I just noticed, it's got USB out on there as well. Direct recording out over USB. Okay, cool.
Oh, that's
Well, when
good.
we recorded the demo, we took the line out as well as miking it up, and the
Oh,
line
really?
out sounds great.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
which
cool.
is obviously something.
I mean, I must admit, since using the old Roland Jazz Chorus 50, a couple of times I've had my AB box on and gone to that, and it's just been solid state. You know.
Definitely.
Well, I
And-
mean, it's making a resurgence, isn't it? It's the same with
we're going to relive the 80s.
yeah. I mean,
With
well,
Kimper and
the Orange Crush
Crush
series,
Pros, yeah.
the solid state stuff is really really
Yeah.
good now.
I bought some stuff
which
with
is-
shoulder
yeah.
pads.
yeah. I mean, look at your haircut.
Yeah.
Awful. What do you guys think about solid state stuff? I mean, would it being solid state necessarily put you off, or does it matter what it kind of ultimately sounds like? Or
Bear in mind the guy from Roland is behind you.
yeah. He has been
Try-
sent to assassinate anyone who doesn't like the amp, so
Try and
there's
upset
only
him.
people left who do.
I don't know. I reckon historically, solid state would have made me have cold shivers and nightmares. But yeah, like you say, I mean, technology is changing, so maybe there's some good stuff out there that's worth having. You know, I mean, it's really nice having direct out stuff. I think that's really handy for recording or sitting at home being.
Well, I mean, earlier today I was A-Bing 2 Black Stars, the HT5 and the ID 15 TVP. And the guy was like, I'm in two minds. That, the HT5, the valve one sounds really good, but the TVP technology on the ID15, just there's so much more versatility. And actually, when you A/B the two, now there is very little difference. There is maybe a little something you just can't replicate.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm interested to hear that at much higher volumes, because I think the thing is, most people when they're using solid state, especially practice amps, keeping them really low.
Yeah.
Well,
and they sound better at lower volumes. Some of the
That sounded
practice amps.
really good at.
So I think the key is turning them up.
Well,
Yeah,
the
I mean-
attenuation is what really helps with that, because unlike a lot of solid state amps, changing between that sort of half a watt, 15 watts doesn't just turn the amp down and up. It works with the amp to change kind of the
I
gain
think-
levels in the headroom.
If I remember rightly, I'm sure I can't. Jeff might correct me on that, but rather than actually being like a modelled sound, it's actually like modelled componentry. Is that right?
Yeah,
They're actually
it is.
got
That's
tiny
right, yeah.
model-
Physical componentry, the only element that is modelled is the valves.
Yeah.
But what we tried to do is actually model the behaviour between the different components. So it's close to the responsiveness of a bassman or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I mean, and to be honest, we've all been really impressed with the Orange
The
Crush Pro
Pros.
stuff
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well earlier this year. So
Well, I mean, that made the Gear of the Year last year, didn't it?
Oh,
I
is
think
it?
it was.
Yeah.
It was one of the final.
oh, right.
Could
Final
Blues
five.
Cube sneak on next week when we do the
Give
do the Gear of the Year. Matt Knight, what have you been playing this week? What do you want to share?
Should we all look behind us? Oh, you can't see it. Oh, you can't see it on the camera up there. Anyway, so as I think I mentioned briefly last week, I went to Amsterdam. I say I went to Amsterdam. I went to the airport and then I went to a warehouse. And got
Glamorous.
and got to pick
And
out.
Schiphol is grim, isn't it? It's not a very nice airport.
That's all right. Been there a couple
it's-
of times.
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
I mean-
Very open.
To be fair, this was a warehouse with like sofas and glass tables and food laid out.
And
for
you went
no.
on a Gibson.
It was a warehouse.
And you went on the Gibson bus. Like,
I went
we
on the
don't-
Gibson bus.
Oh, was that on the
pretty
bus?
nice. I
Was
went,
that where that picture was from?
one of the pictures was on the bus. Yeah. The Gibson bus. Let's talk about the Gibson bus quickly. I know Jay's been on the Gibson Mega Bus, which is the American one, which sleeps people and like has got like a proper amp demo room and stuff like that and everything.
Yeah, it's
It's
great.
got
They had
a
a-
demo room on the
yeah,
bus.
yeah, yeah.
this one has
There was a
sort of,
there was a dark fire hanging up like by one of the Hercules hangers. I was like, yeah. I was like, is that safe? Like, surely it's just gonna. And they were like, no. Okay, sure.
But this one, the guy who drove the bus, I was talking to our rep, and he was like, "Yeah, that's his job. He like organises the bus around Europe, and then he just drives it
Yeah.
everywhere." Just
Fine.
great monkers.
Wow, there we go.
But like with the American one, I was talking about the guy who drives the American bus, and like Henry, who's the owner of Gibson, might go, "Yeah, bear in mind they're in like Nashville, or whatever." He's like, "Yeah, can you drive it to Miami? That might be like 1,000 miles." And he's like, "Yeah, I need it there like in 2 days," and he'll just have to get on the bus and just drive it.
That's a long way. It's more than 1,000. I think it's a couple of thousand miles.
Yeah.
It's a long
But
way.
yes, I got to go on the Gibson bus, and then I got to pick out. Basically, I got a selection of about 70 Les Pauls.
You didn't wait. You
The-
didn't
the
buy
things that
70
you-
Les
I didn't
Pauls.
buy Les Paul,
The
but
things
there
you
was,
brought back are some of the best Les Pauls, I think.
yeah. Do you know what? It really makes. I mean, yeah. Every day we get like a stock list sent to us, but it really makes a difference actually being able to see them before you can. Buy them.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people, we don't get to do that all the time.
The stuff that you get from the stock list is amazing.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
much
we get
everything
to-
on this
we
wall is
get to
from
see
that. But
photos, and we get to pick from the photos. But sometimes, it's really nice to actually see it in the flesh.
get a proper
and-
special one.
Basically, the first one I saw was the which is behind us now. It's a Les Paul Custom with P90s.
The black one.
And
Ebony.
my dream Les Paul is basically a Les Paul with P90s. So I was like, well, if I'm going to buy one, I might as well get that one. And it's absolutely amazing. It's rosewood boards, 2 P90s, Les Paul Custom, Voss finish. It's just everything you want, really.
Do you guys, when we talk about, because we don't,
You still haven't actually mentioned your pick.
well,
That's-
it's that
yeah,
it's
that
that
is
Les
that.
Paul
Oh, it
right
is
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were doing the
No, I'm
Gibson
going to do that
cable.
one. That's
No.
why I got it out.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You've ruined the surprise
Oh,
now,
no.
Joe.
You've ruined it.
Oh.
Get out.
Does anyone want to take his place? I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, so when we're talking about finishes, do you guys understand what we mean by like Voss, and when we talk about Fender, like relicing and stuff like that? Does everyone understand the concepts of that? Because I think we talk about it quite a lot.
I know. I think sometimes you forget that actually that they're terms that you pick up when you're around guitars all the time, but not necessarily everyone knows what they mean.
Well, and also there's the way that Fender do it is very different to the way that Gibson do it. You know, Fender do the relicing, so they do like the aging, and even classic to an extent is kind of aged. Voss isn't really like that, is it?
No, how would you really describe it? It's obviously nitro lacquered, but it's like a dulled nitro lacquer.
Well,
because
it stands for
back,
vintage original spec, isn't it? That's what it stands for. And from my understanding of it, was always like, okay, so this is kind of like, imagine you bought this guitar in '56, and then you've just looked after it for, you know, all that time. You've looked after it.
You tried to work out how many years that were.
I did, yeah. 60 years. 60 years, whatever. I don't.
58.
60 years, close enough.
Yeah.
So you've had that guitar for 60 years, and
what's your degree in?
Economics.
Very good. Numbers
a
and that.
long time ago. So you've had that guitar for all that time, and you've like buffered it up, and you've like polished it and cleaned it and that. And it's just like, yeah, it looks worn, but it's still new. It's not dinked or anything.
It's weird though, because they sort of do look worn, but they sort of, I don't know. It's an in between, because Fender's Closet Classic is like.
It's like that. Well, yeah, I guess,
stuff,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's kind of it's between new and
I mean,
any of the other Fender
I suppose
series, really.
for me, it's like, I don't know if many people have done it because it's a bit of a risky move, but using T-cut
Yeah.
to get rid of marks. And obviously, if you use a lot of T-cut, it starts to wear.
You told me to do that the other day.
Yeah, because you'd already taken sandpaper to it for about 2 hours.
That's true.
I've actually spoken to Gibson about this. It's because I thought about that, Matt, as you know.
Just pouring a whole bottle of T-cut on it and see what happens.
Just fill the bath, Breaking Bad style.
Mr. Wheeler and I talked about this at great length. So ultimately, I emailed Gibson, and it is a proprietary lacquer finish.
Yeah.
It's a completely different lacquer finish to the gloss ones.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different process.
I'd imagine, yeah, because imagine with a lot with the nitro and the high gloss, it's a case of, and I've talking to Graham, who's our tech, he's like, it's a really thin finish that's got to dry, then be buffed, and then you reapply, dry, buff, and you just keep going until it comes out like a mirror ball, basically.
Yeah.
So essentially what they're saying with that is they use a different type of finish, and then it's not buffed to the same extent as something that's shiny.
Okay. So that's how it comes out like that. Whereas I think the Closet Classic ones have a thin finish, don't they?
Yeah.
And they're kind of, shall we say, not relict, but
things
very
like
lightly aged.
things like the lacquer checking, they actually do that with a sort of there's a tool to do that.
No, there's actually one way that I think they do it is compressed air.
Okay.
So they're heated and sprayed with cold compressed air. You can actually do it at home. Not that I've actually tried this. You can actually do it at home with a hairdryer, and the air in a can you get to clean keyboards. If you turn those cans upside down, they spray at freezing temperatures.
How do you know this?
And you can heat it and spray it, and it will crack the lacquer.
As always, not something that we're advising.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
It's Friday night with Matt Knight.
late night guitar taking. Yeah,
Yes.
get one of those cans, turn it upside down.
Yeah.
Get your hair
Sounds very bizarre. So that's your staff pick, is it? What year is it?
50. Well, no, it's not. It's a Les Paul Custom.
Okay.
So it doesn't exist, does it? It's not an age.
It doesn't. It's not really there.
It's not real. Well, because the reason I'd always want one is a few years ago they did a very, very, very limited run of one pickup.
Single pickup ones.
ones.
Yeah. One of the guys who used to work here had one, and
he didn't look after it at all. And I got it out of the case, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see this." And it hadn't been cleaned for about 2 years, and I was like, it was like a little tear. It was like, "Oh my god, look after it, please." But yeah, I mean, quickly with the finishes, actually, that's one of the things I got to pick out was when we talk about Voss and then aged. Most aged guitars are aged Voss, so they finish them and then they in like a Voss style, and then they relic them. I've actually got some gloss aged, which Steve, who we were talking just then, we were trying out. So they actually fully gloss them and then relic them, and actually come out completely different.
Yeah,
like the relicing feels different. They feel different as a guitar as well, and that's really rare to see. Apparently, according to the guys at Gibson, they were like the relicing workshop in the factory is like completely top secret.
Okay.
They won't let anyone in. So when you go on a tour, they're like really like
blindfold you past that bit. It's like getting into the back cave.
Yeah,
right.
You're not really supposed to, because I think the people they get in are like like freelance guys, and it's
Is it Fender guys? Is that why you're not allowed?
yeah,
Is it like
maybe.
is
They've all
it-
got Fender custom shop t-shirts on. But apparently it's a skill that pays quite well, I think, in the guitar world.
Relicing. Well, I mean, there's some notable people, isn't there? That
Well, yeah.
I mean, all of the Fender master builders, but also who's the guy at Gibson who?
Tom Murphy.
Tom Murphy. There we go.
Who is apparently a very difficult man to get hold of.
Well,
Apparently
yeah.
Why does he not have a phone?
No. You have
You
to
get one.
Yeah, just need to like yeah, and I think he only comes in like once.
Joe Branton, problem solver.
I think he only
Get
comes
yourself
in
a
like once in a
phone.
while.
It's fine. Yeah, and his guitars obviously command
More money.
big money. But it's good to see that there's some more kind of relic stuff coming through. Have we got the 335 here that you were talking about?
That's right
Yeah,
behind you.
Oh, is it?
There
Oh,
you
yeah,
go.
so
it's just off camera.
There.
That one there. Actually,
cherry one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to pick that because I think more times than ever this year we've mentioned the 335, that 63 335 with
yeah.
the nylon saddles. And when I saw a relic one, I was like, that's amazing. I've got to get that. Mainly because one of the cool things about that is that Memphis. so
I hate to
where
break
those
it to
are
you,
built-
that hasn't got nylon saddles.
doesn't.
Oh, does it not? It's a 63.
It was a
But,
great story, though.
Yeah, brilliant.
But no, but the amazing thing about those is that Memphis don't actually relic guitars.
Yeah.
And the reason that was at the Gibson Custom show, because Custom are technically a completely separate division, is that they went, oh, maybe we should do some relic ones. So they sent them to Gibson Custom to relic, and then they became part of the Gibson stock. So it's extremely rare to find a relic Memphis built guitar.
Sure.
Wait, you weren't here when. So Dan Grace, who's the acoustic guitar shop manager, he is a big fan of like hollow body guitars, and we were trying it at the end of the day on Wednesday, I think it was. And he walked down, he went, "Oh yeah, what's that? Oh yeah, oh yeah." Just he got higher and higher and higher.
As
I
he
went,
got closer to it.
"Oh yeah!" Like when he saw the age in it, was like, "Oh!" It was very good.
There we go. That was like a sort of reconstruction.
Yes,
Fine
yeah.
watchy
Yes.
vibe.
999 episode.
Yeah.
I've been moonlighting. It's been good.
As Michael Burke.
Yeah, well, he's in the jungle, isn't
Oh,
he?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I've got-
Got voted out.
Is that why you had a...
Oh, spoilers, geese.
That's why he's back. You had a couple weeks off.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's
That's
neat.
where I've been.
Yeah, yeah.
Podcast.
Hanging out with Kendra. Joe Branton, what have you been playing this week?
This week, I'm going to pick something second-hand, which we wouldn't normally do as a staff pick, just mainly because we've normally sold them before.
Yeah,
the
they
podcast
come-
goes out, yeah.
But this thing he's got
As
is
therapy.
rubbish and no one wants to buy.
It is usually the case, though, isn't it? That stuff comes in, and then there's, we record normally on a Tuesday or Thursday. Podcast doesn't come out till Monday, and then the second-hand things
We
will,
only buy the best stuff.
yeah, it will be gone. Yeah, we tend not to buy anything that will hang around for a while.
But yeah, as this is here and we have people here, I thought I would pick something, as it's my favourite thing possibly ever, I think, that we've had in the bass department.
Okay.
So, which is cool.
I'm sure you say that every week.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
yeah,
say.
but it is. But it is. I've
It's my
said it
favourite
before.
thing this week. in the
Bristol,
bass
I've said
department.
that this is my favourite thing before.
You said that about several things.
It's true. I said it about that Spectre last week, didn't I?
Yeah.
Has that gone now? Did you get
Yeah,
the...
the
Yeah,
Spectre
that's-
sold.
that's- that's-
Yeah, I didn't buy it.
There we go.
I
Sometimes
remember
they
getting
just...
out of the case. I think you were working the dad bought it in.
Yeah,
You were
it was-
like, maybe I should buy that.
Yeah.
You should have bought that.
I should have bought it. Anyway, I should buy this, but I can't afford it.
Anyway, what have you got?
I have got an old Hofner. This is the 62 reissue. I don't know exactly when this was made, but they've been doing 62 reissues out of Germany since about 1994.
Can you talk into the mic for us?
Oh yeah.
Can you show it more into the camera, please?
Oh yeah.
Can I
There it is.
interject?
Yeah.
It's a mid-90s one.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
It is a mid-90s one. Brilliant. So it's one of the early kind of German hand-built 62 reissue violin basses. But yeah, they're just totally wicked. So there's not an awful lot of stuff that's coming from Hofner that's actually made in Germany at the moment, only their really high-end stuff. And I just think it is a wicked version of the violin bass. So it has a load of really cool things that are very kind of year specific, stuff like the 3-ply nut, which is ridiculously unusual, and the 0 fret.
It's just got... There's no reason for that to be there.
I know.
It looks really cool.
It looks great. I think my favourite thing is that the bridge
This is
itself
so dumb.
is the bridge pieces are made out of fret wire,
It's so dumb.
No,
I'm into that. That's
which
so
is
weird.
really cool. So you've got to really have a soft touch on it. I mean, that was out because we'd given it to Jay Cross just before we started
Clubby cross.
Clubby cross, yeah. But yeah, it's wicked. It's got the proper sort of Hofner staple pickups in them, which they're called staple because it looks like they have 4 staples in them, and it's completely hollow. So there's no center block like the Club series or some of the more modern Hofners. And the 62 is also the thickest, deepest neck profile that they've ever put on a violin.
It does
bass.
sound awesome.
And it
Like,
sounds
every time
awesome,
you've plugged
and
it
it
in,
looks-
I've been like, yeah, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
So is that what Mackie used?
Ish.
It's sort of.
Ish.
Yeah. He didn't always use a 62, but,
Right,
but
okay.
yeah.
There was various incarnations. I think he had one stolen. And
Yeah, well,
then-
that was the first one, which was kind of the cavern spec, which is in the Hofner HCT series at the moment. Is based
that's
on
2
the,
pickups closer to the neck,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
Yeah.
So they don't have the bridge pickup.
Right.
The bridge pickups in the middle.
Right,
Just for
okay.
a much sort of sub bit,
So-
and it has
so-
a center block.
And they
those
they
ones.
stopped building them when?
Um,
Do you know?
the actual cavern specs?
Well, just
Just
like 'cause you said
original.
that it's like they started doing them again in the mid-90s.
Oh right, yeah.
In
So
the original 62.
yeah.
I think production stopped in the sort of early 70s of those. I
Right.
believe.
Okay. Right.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
but
we
the
were-
70s ones had quite a bit of change on them. Like the Ignition series are essentially based on the 70s era of
Right.
Hofner violin basses. I mean, between sort of 62 and the 70s, they tried to change the control plate, which is the most ridiculous set of controls ever on a bass. So you have a bass on.
Careful of that headstock, geese.
Yeah. You've got a bass on and a treble on flick switch. But turning bass on, in fact, turns off your bass pickup. So you need to have it off to have it on, as it were, and vice versa with the treble. And that's always been the case on Hofner violin basses. And kind of
I
in
love
the
the backwards thing of Hofner.
yeah, it's so
Great.
good. In the 70s, they were like, yeah, maybe
So,
people
no,
are right.
no.
so like essentially the control is, do you want the switch on rather than the switch is on. So it's
Yeah, so
turned off the pickups.
Yeah.
Like, the switch is on.
Yeah.
You've activated the switch.
Yeah, you've turned the
You
switch
turn on the
on.
switch, yeah,
How do you not
exactly.
understand what's going on here? You're using the switch. Yeah, great. It's on.
Exactly. It makes perfect sense. But
Germans,
anyway,
man.
they
logic.
enough people didn't get that in the 70s they decided to redesign the plate to make some sense and actually
Did they do
turn
that
it-
just by putting a sticker over the on? Let's just swap the on and off round.
I
It's
think
like
what they chose to do was change it to
many
like
blocks.
jazz bass style control, so a pair of volumes and a master tone instead. But people didn't like it, so they
Put it back.
put it back. Yeah,
We spent some this afternoon listening to some Paul McCartney isolated bass lines.
yeah, that's what me and Mark
So-
were doing in the office today.
It's a rocking
pretty
office, and it's unbelievable. Particularly some of the later stuff where he's not using the Ricky and he's gone back to using the Hofner.
Yeah.
Just that sound is like it's just bass. There's
Yeah.
nothing else there, and like a little bit of click where he hits the notes, but primarily like you're not getting any other frequencies. I mean that the bridge pickup is sort of redundant.
Yeah, you just turn it off. Yeah.
What? No, you turn it
Turn
on.
it on, geese.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's right.
So my staff pick this week is one of these. This is the Gibson Memory Cable. Do you guys know what this is? Have you investigated this one already? The reason it's mine is because this is the first time I've seen one in the flesh. Yes, you always pick me up on that. Scene. I think it's a
Scene.
South Coast thing. Firstly, from actually seeing one in the flesh, it just seems like a really good cable, nice and chunky. Do you want to pass this round, actually? And for those who don't know, that big bit in the middle is essentially a hard disk recorder.
Tascam, isn't it?
Yeah, made by Tascam, because Gibson bought Tascams. That's right, isn't it?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah, they're part of the same umbrella thing.
See, Roland.
Got our- did you get our bid?
We sold it.
And what it essentially does is allows you to record from your guitar into the cable and then back out into the amp.
Yeah.
So there's a few applications for it. Obviously, like practice is one of them, or you can record into the cable, save your idea, and then have it coming out of the amp. But a clever thing, a thing that I think it'd be good for, in a way that I think they didn't kind of anticipate it being used, is for reamping.
Yeah.
So if you have got a kind of multitude of amps and you want to try, a particular riff through different amps, or you've got you want a multi-track and pan a different amp left and right, but with the same guitar riff coming through, you record the riff into that, take it out of one amp and plug it into another one. that's kind of one of the best uses we can see for it, isn't
I
it?
think so. I think
absolutely,
that's really, really cool, because my only slight issue with it would be if you're recording and then you're like, oh yeah, but I sort of want to go back. You can't go back. But if you're just, you want to jam out, record straight in. Yeah, reamping I think is such a great tool.
I like the fact that actually you don't have to go into an amp. Just the fact you don't have to go into an amp at all. You can just have it there, set it on auto, and it'll only record when signal goes in. So if you put your guitar down for 10 minutes.
Oh, that's very neat.
And then it's not going to just record 10 minutes of silence. It's only going to record when you actually play a note through it. And it's just, I think so often I've like sat at home, played guitar for a couple of hours and probably thought, oh yeah, or like done some stuff on because I thought, well, if I, like me, use loads of pedals, I was like,
Can you talk into your mic for us?
oh, sorry, I thought I was. If you use loads of pedals, I thought, oh, well, surely you've got to go guitar into your pedal board. But no, because you can go out of your pedal board into that and then into the amp. Yeah. And so often I've like done stuff on a looper or something, and thought that's cool and then never think about it again. But if it's always recorded, just take the memory card out and play it all back. Was there a Tascam unit that did something like this before?
There's been a few things. The Line 6 backtrack. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was essentially the same, a similar sort of idea of the box in the middle there. But thing, they were like that big-ish. Yeah. So I think what they've done is kind of take the idea roughly of that and think, well, how are people actually going to use this? How do people sit and play guitar, I guess? Yeah. And you've probably got a lead to hand and you'll probably be plugged into an amp, but you might just want to capture that moment of inspiration and go, oh yeah, that riff was really good. I want to come back to that, tomorrow or whatever. And it's perfect for that. And again, the reamping thing is really cool. I just think it's a real neat little product. Yeah. And, the cable's really nice.
Actually, one of the things that they list
you can have on there.
Really? 13 hours?
13 hours, yeah.
There we go. That's a long riff, isn't it?
That long in my entire
Does
life.
it? Have you recorded multiple things on it yet? Because I haven't.
I don't think you can like overdub.
No, not overdub, but can you record like multiple tracks? So like you record one riff and go, okay, brilliant, I'll come back to that later. Oh, we're going to record
save anything in.
No, I think it's like
one continuous.
I think every time it starts recording, it will start a new file.
Oh, it does start a new file.
I think so, yeah.
That's cool.
But you can't like overdub or anything like that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Can you then go back to those files?
Yeah, I don't know if you can through the cable or not. Whether you have,
but you can do in the card.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Actually, one of the things I mentioned on there is recording rehearsals. So if you go out of
this is
the mixing desk in PA, and then because you obviously have to go into an amp, you can just go out of that, and it will just.
That was another thing that I'd forgotten about that they were talking about. You could do with it. So if you are doing a full band rehearsal, for example, where everything's mic'd up, you just plug that into the PA, and then that is going to then capture everything that's going into the PA. So yeah, just a real simple way, like Matt says, of recording a whole band rehearsal. So cool little bit of kit and very different. And I thought as it was here, everyone should kind of have a look at it.
So we can try that into the Blues Cube.
Yeah.
With a Hofner bass.
Let's do that.
Brilliant.
And then what we can do, right, perfect. So we'll get a guitar, record a riff into that, plug it into the Blues Cube, and then we'll plug it into like a Blues Junior and a Hot Deluxe. And there we go.
Yeah.
So it'll be exactly the same thing coming through each amp.
We ain't got
it's a genius idea.
80 quid, I think it was. Yeah, 80 quid.
Which, I mean, when you consider the backtracks were 99 quid, the Line 6 thing.
Yeah.
And they were just like a box. You didn't get the cable. I think it's pretty reasonable. I mean, it's not going to be everyone's go-to guitar lead for just going to do a gig. But if you've got a very specific use for it, then I think it's a cool thing.
I must say, it was actually quite a good sounding guitar lead.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can tell by looking at it that it's
because we've got some of the new Gibson leads as well, which are really, really nice. Super chunky.
They're well plush.
Quite light as well. It kind of in the pictures it looked like be quite heavy and chunky.
Yeah,
it's actually quite light.
Yeah, it's the actual box itself is bigger than I thought, but like you say, it kind of feels lighter. They've thought about actually someone is going to plug this into a guitar and stand up and use it.
They're passive as well, I think. I don't think it.
No, they've got we've got one.
Must have a battery in there.
Is it one battery? Okay, fine.
Yeah, cool. So there we go. Staff picks. I guess it's question time. We've got some stuff from the Facebook group. As always, if this is your first podcast, this will be quite a weird one to listen to, but facebook.com/groups/guitar nerds group. We accept questions on there. We're obviously going to do questions from you guys. If you've got, do you want to just quickly put your hand up if you have got a question and we'll come to you in a minute? Yeah, not necessarily. Hang fine.
Hold on.
What should we do? Should we do one from here first and then we'll take one from these guys? Do you want to do it that way? Joe Branton, I know a few people have been waiting for you to read out some questions.
This one's really long though. Can we do one of the short?
Can we
Yeah,
not
wait.
do the short one? Can we not do this one?
There's
from-
no short one.
Yeah, there
Can
is.
I
There's
do
one
this
that's one line.
Can
You
I
can
do
do
this
that one.
one that's across 2 pages?
No, you can do the one that's one line. Okay, so Sam says, my 6-watt valve amp, which I use for practice, is fairly new. I'm not finding it to be that loud. It's loud enough, but I did expect it to be louder. I know loudness is subjective, and I find it, and it's hard to describe.
Oh, this would have been so good if I'd read it. No, carry on.
But I could pretty much turn it up full, and
Don't mess it up,
I
will you?
don't think the neighbours would complain. How does everyone else find really low wattage valve amps? I mainly play clean, so maybe I'm not pushing it as hard as I could, and also through he's got an 8-inch 4-ohm cab. So small.
That seems odd.
Well, you think it would be pulling the maximum power from the head. So small
Yeah,
wattage valve
good.
amps, and I guess this is kind of pertinent as we've got the Blues Cube sat in front of us. What are they for, essentially? Because what he's saying, he's got a low wattage valve amp, and it's kind of not loud enough. Is that Sam's situation, or is it that low wattage valve amps just aren't loud?
I think he's right to say that loudness is subjective. I think some amps are louder than others. In terms of you can definitely get too far. Well, you can get too.
Some
in terms,
some amps.
I meant to
definitely
say
louder than
two
others.
5-watt valve amps. So if you get because to be honest, the Blackstar HT5 is nowhere near as loud as the Slash SL5.
No, that's very true.
What about the?
But they've both got 12-inch
the
speakers.
Vox, the
Which
4-watt
one?
Vox.
Yeah, well, see, they're all right, but they don't have much clean headroom because I think a lot of it comes down to the design of the preamp.
100%.
Definitely. And it's more. Some amps are geared at the same wattage. Some are geared to be loud, clean amps, and some of them.
Yeah.
And
the
I'm not
breaking
100%,
point is
but
much
I think
earlier.
the Slash SL5 has actually got a proper power amp valve in it, where the HT5 and a lot of the other ones are 2 preamp
Yeah,
valves.
and isn't the Slash that was a new speaker as well, wasn't it? It was a specially designed speaker, which again comes down to what we were saying about
speaker efficiency.
the Blues Cube. You know, it's they sort of with the SL5 they designed it from the ground up. It was like, right, okay, well let's start here and because I'm sure I remember reading somewhere about how they really wanted it to be like instead they wanted to reverse engineer it essentially. So instead of being like, all right, okay, well here's how we want it to sound and I don't know, vintage 30.
Yeah, I think that's the
fine.
thing.
But, they went with they got the speaker and then they worked outward. So that's why that one's.
I think that it's very difficult.
They are loud.
I think with especially with anything like 5 watts, it's really difficult because I think they all sound totally different because of how they have to be designed to be so low powered. To be honest, if you're doing a lot of clean, you'd be much better off going for 15 watts, like something like a Blues Junior.
Yeah, there we go.
Which you can have much louder and it will stay much cleaner. I think the problem is once you're pushing the top end, say something like a Vox AC4, once you're pushing that top end, it's going to be too distorted. So you want something that's much cleaner.
I mean,
a bigger speaker will make a difference, I think.
A bigger speaker, a bigger box as well, in general. I mean, I've talked about it before, trying to find an amp for home. I'm sure you guys are kind of bored of it now. And I've settled on the Hughes and Kettner. But, I mean, I tried the Vox AC4 stuff because they do a head and they do a combo, and they're 2 different sizes of combo as well. The TV...
they do a 12 and an 8.
Yeah,
I think.
and I just couldn't get it to be clean at all. I mean, it was loud, but it just wasn't clean. And if that's what you're after... the amp's not for you.
I mean,
but
those
then,
Tube Meisters barely distort at all.
Well, that's the thing. The Tube Meister is essentially the same wattage. And actually on the clean channel, you can't get it loud enough that it will distort. I mean, it's got a drive circuit in there. But yeah, I mean, it's just about getting the right type of amp. And it sounds like for Sam, he might need something that has got a lot more volume, but is clean all the way up.
Yeah.
Tube Meister 5 every time. Just because I've got one now, and I think everyone.
They are.
I want to feel like
really
satisfied that as long as everyone else has got one, that'd be good.
Yeah.
You need people to reaffirm that you made the right choice.
Exactly.
To be honest, I really like the Marshall. The SL5.
SL5s, really nice. Again,
I think it's because it's the biggest out of all of the 5-watt amps. It's actually one of the biggest sounding.
You could definitely. I mean, I think the Tube Meister 5 I would struggle to gig with. You could definitely gig with the Slash.
Yeah.
100%.
Tube Meister 18, and then you've got the option.
That's true,
down.
and it will drop down as well. Yeah, it's slightly bigger box. I mean, for me, the 5 is like I've got so little space. The 5's perfect.
I've got the head, so that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the 5 head. What cab are you on it?
18.
The 18 head. Yeah. What cab are you on it with?
Different cabs.
Right.
Okay.
For B30 and someone else a G12 Century Heritage, no, Vintage.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which is neodymium cab.
Yeah.
Super light.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a cool little rig, little 18-watt head and a
That's
Neo cab.
I bought it off eBay and someone stuck it in the Vox cab.
Right.
But, so it
Oh,
looks cool
nice.
as well.
Okay,
But
Nice.
cool. What, just like a Vox chassis?
Like one of the what are they called?
The night train?
Yeah, the night train.
Right,
cabs.
okay. Yeah.
Oh, they're cool because they've got like the rounded edges, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh,
Nice. Right, next up, Matt says, anyone have any experience with Epiphone dots? Never played one, always fancied a Casino or Wildcat. What are your opinions? My main concern is the neck. I used to own an EPSG, didn't like the neck. I have single coil guitars at the moment, and I've been gassing for something with P90s or humbuckers. It always comes back to the Epiphone dot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In some way or another. The course of the 10 plus years I've been working here, it always comes back to the Epiphone dot. They've always done it. It's kind of a go-to guitar in the range, isn't it? If you want an entry-ish level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm preferring now though?
hollow
And
body.
if you want something with P90s, ES339 Pro P90.
Okay.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because I prefer the smaller body of a 339, but then they do one with the two P90s, but it's the smaller size P90s, not the big dog-eared P90s you get on the Casino. And actually, people are always like, will it sound as big and expansive as a normal Epiphone dot? And I think they sound, in my opinion, I think they sound nicer.
Well, I mean, we've talked a
think they
lot
sound a bit
about
richer
P90s. I mean, we've talked about that guitar up there with P90s,
Yeah.
and pretty much all of us have got guitars with P90s on. I mean, the Casino Coupe as well, that's the
Yeah.
small-bodied.
I really
Is that-
like that. 'Cause
Is that all hollow body as well? The Casino Coupe, I think it is.
I
Is
can't
it?
remember.
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
completely hollow.
Everyone
body.
else is nodding. They
Yeah.
clearly know more than we do. Yeah.
They're all looking at their
No
phones
centre
on the
block.
website.
Okay,
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
cool.
just quickly, we can really look clever in front of them. No,
I mean, that's all we do.
Yeah, I mean,
Why there's so much preamble all the time? We're looking stuff up.
I mean, this is actually a script.
slightly off script.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of options. I mean, the dot itself is still, if you're looking at something just getting, particularly the Dot Studio, which I think is still current.
Studio's
219
amazing,
or
babe.
something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
But if you want proper gloss finish, 4 controls, then I guess the dot, just the regular dot is the
Yeah.
one to go for.
But
And what? It's not like a super chunky neck on that, is it? But
No.
it'll be bigger than an SG, like a sort of normal.
it'll be
SG.
bigger than a G400.
Yeah.
G400s are pretty skinny because they're based
Yeah.
on a 61 SG.
Yeah.
From that Facebook thread, I think Matt was having issues with the neck being too slim. So I guess the dot is rounder and chunkier, and
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
probably do that.
Yeah.
So, Sam says, my pedal board is weird. I've got a Digitech Supernatural, and yeah, I mean,
Cool.
talking to Matt, we're in.
Hi, my name is Sam, and my pedal board is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, got you.
My pedal board is weird. I've got a Digitech Supernatural, an Electroharmonics Freeze, a Memory Man Hazarai, an Electroharmonics Chorus, and Electroharmonics Pitchfork. What I am missing is drive pedals.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing but weird pedals on that.
Yeah, they are
Weird pedals.
all really weird ones. I mainly play clean through a 6-watt valve amp. It's Sam from the first question, I've just realised. I've always assumed that no drive will come close to power amp drives, and never really bothered with pedals. What could I add in terms of drive pedals, and what would they do for me that my amp wouldn't? We've had a lot of questions this year about drive pedals and stuff, and talked a lot about something like the Electroharmonics Soul Food. I think probably these guys and people listening at home know enough about the Soul Food. What else is out there to drive?
What I was going to say first of all is I think the problem with using like amp drive with the pedals is using is they won't sound as good. Because if you think like Digitech Supernatural was a really big ambient reverb, as soon as you go to like the drive channel on effectively a small amp, it's going to sound so distorted.
Yeah.
If you're like freezing a chord on a Electroharmonics Freeze, you're going to be freezing like a clean tone, and then you're going to distort it, and then you're going to distort with an amp. So what you need is a drive pedal that's going to give you like power amp drive, rather than like, obviously Soul Food's good, it's got that clean clon style
transparent overdrive, I think is the
transparent
buzzword you're looking for right now.
I was trying to avoid using this.
No, that's what we have to say. Transparent overdrive.
But
It's the phrase of the month.
I would use something like well, that's more like ammo. I was going to say something like a Wampler
Moor Green Mile.
No, I was trying to go away from an overdrive pedal. You're just thinking of all the overdrive pedals. I was going to think of something more like Moore do, like the Hustle Drive.
Oh yeah,
which is like an OCD copy, like a full tone OCD. Something that's much more like a chunky power amp drive than a lighter like preamp drive, like a Tube Screamer.
Can I suggest, as always, the Power Stack?
I mean, yeah.
The power stack is wicked.
I mean,
Still
that'd
current?
be
Isn't it
for-
discontinued now?
No,
isn't it?
it's still current.
Pa-
We've still got them.
Power stack's still here. I love the power stack.
Metal Zone.
Or just to appease Jeff while he's in the room, DS1X.
Yeah.
DS1X.
We talked a pedal that we've talked a lot about. Sort of.
That real kind of like awesome recorded distorted amp tone.
Well, which I guess is what we need, like you're saying,
Yeah.
because a small amp you want to, driving the amp is probably not going to do it. I think
I mean, all of those pedals will, to me, and I don't know if you've got an effects loop on the amp that he's using, but most of those pedals through the front end with a lot of drive are going to sound really mushy.
yeah, effects loop, that stuff, and then maybe a drive in the front end.
Probably won't have it.
Well, no, six
Probably won't have
watt valve amp.
Effects loop.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never
Maybe
know.
you never know. Never know.
Depends what it is.
But so we're thinking distortion rather than overdrive, basically.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, good shout on the ST2 because you've obviously got everything from like full stack to.
Yeah.
I like
And then get a soul
ST2s a lot.
food because if you haven't got a soul food.
Yeah, if you don't have a soul food already.
Did you just get a soul food?
Yeah, of course I did. Has everyone here got one yet?
Today.
Tonight. Good. Yeah, you should. They're really good. I think putting that board together, as I've talked about in the last couple of weeks, it just really works. And like, I don't even have to think about it. I'm pretty much leaving it on the whole time.
That's what you do with pedals, isn't it? You just turn them on.
Yeah, I guess.
Leave
No.
it.
There is some
Okay.
variety
Right,
in
okay.
mine. You can't have a univibe. Well, you could have a
Yeah, you
univibe
could have
on
a
all the
univibe
time.
on.
Just have it on all the
Yeah,
time.
'cause
Yeah,
then you've got two
definitely
amps
do that.
and you have the univibe on all the time with one amp and then the other
And
amp
that's-
clean.
that's
then
when-
your third amp for nothing but clean, then a fourth amp for
That's when I get kicked
fourth
out of
and
my
fifth amp
house.
for stereo delays.
So that's at that point, Ella's like, no, it's enough.
I've had enough.
Too much.
We still haven't done the Akai head rush into 5 Akai head rushes
Into 5.
15, into 15
I mean,
amps.
we've got plenty of helpers this evening. So if you've got 6 Akai head rushes to hand, we're on to a winner. Let's take a question from you guys. So who had one ready to go? State your name and number.
So I want to know kind of what to look for when buying a second-hand amp. Because when I look at second-hand guitars, I can see, where they've been worn and where any
Yep.
modifications have been made. But when looking at an amp, it's not so obvious. I wonder if there are any sort of telltale signs that it's maybe been mucked with in any way, or
Matt Knight, you're probably, as the man who deals with all the second hand.
Yeah, I think it's. Do you know what? I've always stuck by the rule that generally, with a lot of things, especially like guitars and amps, if they're going to go wrong, they're going to go wrong straight away at the factory.
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah.
haven't gone wrong by the time that we've bought them in, they're generally probably going to be all right. And I mean, it's obviously the telltale sign is if it's something like a valve amp. If it's been dropped, it's probably going to, if it's been dropped down a flight of stairs, it's probably going to break. But generally, I think the thing is that you can even amps that have been like totally worn have been more than fine.
I remember seeing it's one that we bought in here a long time ago, like a Tweed Deluxe or something, like a proper one, that all of the tweed had come off.
Yeah.
And to look at it,
Who bought that in?
I'm not sure if we did in the end, just because we couldn't. I think the cosmetics would have put people off.
Yeah.
But it, if you'd have seen it in like a junk shop, you wouldn't have thought anything about it. But actually, it was like the most amazing sounding amp. So it's not quite the same, like you say, as with guitars, because you can kind of look at a guitar and there's a few hidden things, but you probably know how to check for those. With an amp, pretty much, if it's working and it's not a 70s Fender, you'll be fine. Because there are,
I've had a couple of 70s Fenders.
I've got a 70s Fender.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I had one before, and I had one before that as well.
I mean, there's certain old amps that can be quite good at hiding their faults, but if it's something from the last 20 years, you'll probably be fine.
I think I've always been like really lucky, and all the stuff taken here, I don't think we've ever had any problems with. And anything that I've ever bought has always been absolutely fine. I think realistically, it's even if you bought a really old amp, if you were lucky enough to get like a 57 Champ, if it's still working by the time you plug it in 2004, probably never going to break.
2004?
2014.
Blimey.
Well, if
How
it's
long
still
you worked
working
in?
then.
If it's still working in 2004.
Yeah, it would be all right now.
I know I started in 2007. I was like, did I start in 2004? But I haven't quite been.
What about that? How old was that Vox that you had, the little one?
19.
That was
heartbreaking.
1964.
Why did you sell it?
Don't know.
Did you see that, Steve?
That was amazing.
I don't think I did.
In fact, that was the
I've
only.
been keeping quiet.
Even that, when I turned that on,
We
I
never
thought
talk about your first love, do you?
Yeah. When I in fact, when I turned that on, I thought it was going to catch on fire, and it worked absolutely fine after that. I think it just needed to burn off the dust and the old spider that had gone, oh, I'll make my home here, and then realised there was no food.
I was here literally the day that you took the back panel off that. It was just ridiculous.
It had the original Mullard valve in it, but I couldn't tell it was the original valve until I'd scraped all of the dust off it.
But it sounded amazing. So there is no kind of go-to like with guitars,
I suppose the only thing is if it's a valve amp and you plug it in and it doesn't sound right.
But then that could just be valves.
Then you just need to change the valves.
It's basically a lot more complicated, I think is what we're saying. But just only basically, if you only buy them from us, then they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Can I just share
of course.
A funny story. A very old Marshall that I once bought off somebody that didn't work. And I said to the guy, what went wrong with it? And he said, well, I turned it on one day and it just went pop. And I thought, oh, it's bound to be a valve. So I dropped it into my friendly neighbourhood tech. And we stood there while he popped the chassis out. And there was a mouse across the terminals near the transformer. Fried.
That's mojo. Is that what they call it on the forums?
Yeah,
Bit of
I didn't
mojo.
buy it.
That mousy tone.
Do you reckon would that have been rescued? Not the mouse. Would the amp have been rescuable? The mouse is long gone.
It was in well gigged.
Did it? Do we know if the
I don't know. I couldn't get a squeak out of it.
Oh. Steve Farrow's everybody.
That was a tube screamer.
Yes. And that's the end of the podcast. Thanks, Steve.
Listen, we're the funny ones, right, guys?
Just can't. Right, Sai says, hi guys, stupid question coming up. I changed my bass E string, but forgot to cut it down to size. It plays well, but there are quite a few loops. I assume he means around the machine head. And by bass E, I think he means the low E on a guitar. Apart from not looking very neat, are there any adverse effects caused by my haste in not cutting to length?
Yeah, if you've got too much slack, you'll get tuning issues because there's too much extra string there that's going to pull when you're playing.
Yeah.
My general rule of thumb is 1.5 inches past the machine head.
I tend to do two
machine heads
on the 3 bass strings. I do a machine head and a half distance from the machine head that you're putting it into, and then on the treble 2 machine heads seems to work.
What about when you get to the?
You guess
the top.
What do you mean?
Well, for 3 sides.
Well, then I just guess. Oh. Yeah, I don't. I can't do it now. This one.
You get another guitar.
I'm taking this one back. I put 2 Les Paul headstocks back to back.
Yeah.
Should we do that with one of the expensive ones?
Yeah,
See what happens. Yeah, great.
But yeah, I just unwind it and then start again.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing. If you've got too much on there, you can always kind of go back and just lop it off.
Yeah, not when I've done before when the vintage ones and you've gone, oh well, I only need to go to there, and then you've kind of just snapped it off and then gone, oh no wait, it needs to go inside the peg.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no.
So one of the first guitars I ever bought from here when I started working here was one of those 62 Japanese bound tellies. Do you guys know what that is?
One of them?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, a long time ago. Like that, kind of like the ones that you see there with the bound edges.
I'm shocked that you bought that.
That was a really good guitar. That was
Yeah,
like my first
That's
proper
what I mean.
electric. Oh, thanks so much. And that I did exactly that. It had the kind of like machines where you have to put it in the top and then wind it around. And I just remember, taking it home, thinking, oh, take the strings off, put a new set of strings on, brilliant. Oh yeah, I've cut the E too short. I'm gonna have to go back to Brighton and
that's the worst. If that's the worst, and you go home, you're like, right, I'm gonna change the strings. Yeah, every so often you go home and I'm gonna all string guitars, clean them, and then you like break a string and you haven't got any spares, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow now and like go like another string.
I'm gonna have to like talk to my family. Or
I have to like do something. That, I did that the other day. In fact, when I bought, I can't remember which pedal it was. The first one I bought for that board. Got it home. I was like, brilliant. I'll settle down, try this new pedal. Like
was
I
it
haven't
Boss
had pedals
Tuner?
for ages. No, that was in the cupboard somewhere. I think it was the Soul Food, and got it out and then went, oh, brilliant. I'm gonna plug it in. I didn't have 2 jack leads.
Only you would not have 2
I know.
jack leads.
Well, that's the thing.
I've got 10 in a box I don't even use.
Like we've joked about on the podcast, I literally haven't used a guitar tuner, like inline tuner, for probably since 2006. Like that's the closest that's my only experience of using pedals is that tuner. And it's been quite a change to suddenly have a pedal board of stuff.
Board.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, it's good fun. Has anyone else got a question? If not, we've got a ton here that we can work through. Oh, Krista, get over there.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Moog.
Hello, Moog.
Yeah, so pedalboard related question.
Aren't they all in some way
That's,
or
I
another?
think that's gradually going to a podcast purely about pedals.
That's spin-off podcast.
Which I'm
Nice.
liking, yeah.
Gonna be
So
the Fraser.
Sorry.
Sorry, no, I was just talking.
Honestly. You
That's
come
not
to a
cool.
live podcast.
Yeah.
Try and
what
ask a
happens?
question.
Ask
you know.
if anyone's got a question, then you get talked about. Anyway, yeah, no, I just started occurring to me just today, actually. I thought I might as well bring it up. My podcast, my pedalboard.
That's
is
our
get-
podcast.
it's your podcast, my pedal. Right, got it. Okay. Yeah, so my pedalboard's getting a little bit out of control. I was sort of talking a little while ago about upgrading my current crappy board case
Yeah,
to something else, and looking like I would have to go up to like a PT Pro or something
Yeah.
like that. So that's
good man.
which is good, except I like the width, but I don't like the girth.
Okay.
It's got the 3 slats going
Yeah.
deep. Which
Yeah.
just seems ridiculous because it's only enough stuff to put onto anyway. So that feels like it's a bit too big. So I started thinking, what about breaking off and having 2 pedal boards, but trying to find a way of interconnecting them? So, for example, I generally play in 2 bands. One band I will use a shitload of modulation and bits and pieces and things just for like 1 or 2 songs here and there. But then I was thinking you could have like one board with your core stuff on it, and then another board which kind of breaks out and roots in. But
Yeah.
it's obviously tricky because you don't know what's going to go where, and you don't want to break the signal.
Yeah, I think that's because that's what I've thought before. And I've sat down and I've done 2 pedal boards and I've put like all drives on one and then all modulations on the other. And I'm thinking, okay, well that sort of works, but I've always got to take 2. Then if you think, well, I'm going to put some on one and some on another, you find that you've got drive pedals in the middle of a signal chain, because if you run both together. So the only way that I thought about doing it was using something like going into a Boss LS2 and then out of loop 1 going into one pedal board and out of loop 2 going to another, and then switching between the 2, or putting it in the middle of your pedal board. So going into like a POG and then like a chorus, and then going into that out into drives, and then you can patch stuff in. But to be honest, I've found every time I've tried to use 2 pedal boards, it's just never. I think the thing is, I'm always trying to get everything on one, and that's why I'm changing them around so much, because it's the only thing that I can ever think about doing 2 is something that actually we did with Steve over there, which was going to get a couple of stereo pedals that you can always have at the end of your chain, and then always taking them with you if you want to run 2 amps, or something like a El Capistan or a Big Sky, something like reverb you're always going to have at the end, and having that on a separate mini board rather than having like 2 pedal train 2s or something like that. It's difficult. I think the thing you have to do is, basically take an LS2 and try and work out how you're going to route other pedals in the chain. Yeah. But just buy a PT Pro. Or the Grande.
Go deep is what we're saying. You need to.
In fact, actually, I don't think we've got them yet, but they should be on their way soon. I know that when you go to PT Pro, especially when you put pedals out, especially when you've got boss size pedals, you put some on the top row, some on the other one, and then you've got this random one in the middle, and then some pedals don't sit. Like if you've got a Moore, they don't sit properly. Pedal Train actually bring out one called the Pedal Train Fly, which is 3 slats that are much closer together, and then 1 slat that's further away. So you can have taller pedals like a Strymon Big Sky at the back, which takes up 2 slats, and then you can have smaller pedals that will go over 3, but you can place them a little bit better. So they've already thought about it, and it's already on its way.
Pedal Train got you covered, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah. Or if you really wanted to, you could go to a Diego, like a Torman. Go for something that's a flat board. I don't like them as much because you can't run the cables underneath, but it means you can be a little bit more modular about how you put pedals in, because it doesn't necessarily you don't have to stick to those rails.
Fair enough.
Excellent. Joe Branton, would you
Yes?
like to read Scott's question?
Very well.
What are we going for, voice-wise?
I can't believe you're only giving me one. You're putting me on the
You
spot.
can maybe
can't
do
believe
another
we're
one.
giving you one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Fender ABY or Electro Harmonic Switchblade ABY? Or doesn't it matter really? Both are £29 on the GAC website.
There we go. I'm so glad you got to experience that
Live.
That's normally happening in my living room. So I don't. God knows what like the fellow upstairs thinks. Gandalf's moved in downstairs. So Brandalf. How did we never think of that before?
Oh,
God.
there we go.
Electroharmonics, switchblade. I guess is the answer, really.
Just like that.
I think I actually replied to this on the Facebook. I think it's. I mean, they're both equal, but for me, the Electroharmonics one is got a
Did you
slightly.
mean the Switchblade Plus?
Yeah,
Because that's the £29 one, isn't it? And that,
Yeah.
yeah, because I don't think on
the
the
Switchblade
Fender,
has just got. I think it's put ABY, so that would be the Switchblade.
That's the Switchblade.
Yeah,
Plus,
yeah. Because they do two models. They do the Switchblade, which is like 20 quid or something, and it's just an AB.
Yeah.
And then the Switchblade Plus is the
ABY. But for me, it's much smaller in pedalboard real estate, as I put on the Facebook group.
Yeah, but the Fender one's red.
It is red.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
Fender
nice.
it is.
Yeah,
It's
okay, good. Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Done. Let's do one from Mark, who said, not from me, who says, compressor for bedroom playing. Great idea. It makes everything sound better at bedroom levels. Bad idea. Compressors are only for loud outdoor gigs, or it's really a personal preference thing. Joe Branton, pick one of those three.
Yeah, I think you should always have a compressor on all the time.
All of the time.
Yeah, exactly. I always do.
Just leave it on.
Yeah, but then I play bass. You know, I mean,
Which means you don't have to have any pedals at all. It's brilliant being a bass player.
you don't have to have pedals if you clubbily play with a plectrum. Like
That's
you
true.
do.
That is true.
yeah, you do. You need a Sans amp.
Surely you need a compressor to equal out all the notes.
No,
Exactly.
we've had this exact conversation.
You only use the bottom string.
Yeah, I mean that's
The one string.
Yeah.
One string bass.
I mean,
I mean
how
that's
much?
that's the
Who's
dream.
that fellow with the one-string bass?
Stig Peterson.
Stig Peterson. Yeah, he's good. Check him out if you got time. But we've had this this conversation already. Joe loves buying compressors and loves using compressors because he plays bass fingerstyle, whereas I compress my bass playing by playing with a plectrum. I mean, yours costs hundreds of pounds and mine costs about 40p from the front of the shop.
When was the last time you were there? 50p.
Oh, sorry. Okay, right. Yeah,
I'm using a CS3. They're not even hundreds of pounds.
they're not 50p though, are they?
Hold on, don't you use a CS3?
No, he doesn't have a compressor.
I haven't got a compressor.
He's
I
an
thought
idiot.
I thought you get one for your guitar.
No, I'm going to go preamp instead. Kick it old
I agree
school.
with Joe though. You should have a compressor on all the time.
Thank you.
There we go. Is that what you're saying? Is that your official answer?
I think
so we've got 2 votes for compressor.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have it on. I wouldn't use a compressor to squash everything. I would use it as a preamp style, make everything sound really nice and shimmery, and because especially if you go for like the Pictronics one or the Wampler one, where you've got the clean to effected blend, means that you can have tons of compression, but you can wind back for all the dry signal.
Yeah.
So it's there in the background.
Jay Cross, what are you saying?
I don't know.
What's a compressor?
You don't know what a compressor
I don't
does.
know. I play open chords.
So you surely
Really
you want a
badly.
compressor.
I've tried it. It doesn't make any difference.
Let's talk to some people who know. What compressor, yay or nay?
I generally use it more if I'm playing like I might use it a little bit, but then if I'm like playing a bit of country in some songs that I do, then I'll whack it on and whack
So
it up.
personal preference.
So I think personal preference, but yeah, if you like it, then
It's
play it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand the theory. But like, I can't play country, and I mean, I can barely play guitar. Like let alone.
Thanks for coming down, guys.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get top
thanks.
quality advice from
but like,
experts.
but I think it's a personal preference thing. I really do think it's a personal preference thing because, yeah.
I think the thing is for me, like, so if I've got a phaser and I'm playing a guitar and I hit a phaser, I go, yeah, it's a phaser. And it's a cool effect. I'll use it for a bit. With a compressor, I kind of fit a compressor on. And then 10 minutes later, I've realized, I haven't turned it off.
Yeah.
Because everything's, and then you turn it off and you're like, oh, I'll just turn it back on.
It's not really an effect, is it? It's something that should be
I think,
on.
Matt, you know, you and I have had this discussion recently, and you know, I've never in 42 years of playing.
It's
used
the
a
one
compressor.
pedal I couldn't get you to buy for.
No, absolutely. And then you showed me your compressor with the mix and blend thing, which, and of course, I've gone over to Morgan amps, which have a lot of attack. So, I think, you know, it was said to me that you probably need a compressor at the front end just to soften it a bit. And since I put my first compressor on my first ball, I can't live without them now.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you've got the blend knob, you know, to, you know, get your level of compression and then blend it back in with the original signal so it doesn't take over your sound. I mean, we all know that country and western compressed sound, but it doesn't have to be like that. And the other thing I would say that I've discovered about a compressor pedal is that everything else after it sounds better.
Yeah.
And when you turn the compression off, you think, "Where's my sound gone?"
Yeah. I think it's one of those
What,
pedals you get
what are
used to.
some good compressors with blends on? Obviously, the
The
Pigtronics.
one for me is super nice. It's the Ego.
Yes,
Can I call that one?
it is the
Yeah,
Ego.
one for
Yeah.
Ego.
The Pigtronics one is really,
what's
really
that,
nice.
the
The Philosopher's Tone.
Tone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is really
that
good
is,
for
yeah.
bass as well because
Yeah.
but you've got the drive control on that.
You know who used Philosopher's Tone for a little bit?
Matt Knight.
Billy Sheehan.
Sheehan. There we go.
It's true. He's using an MXR based compressor at the moment. But
We might just quickly. Can we talk about it? We might have Billy Sheehan coming in,
That's right. Yeah.
and if you want to
I
see,
didn't tell you.
if you want to see a human man explode, that might be the time to come down.
Yeah, we're
so laughing, yeah.
speaking to Rotor Sound at the moment, so it looks like next year.
Imagine if they booked on a day you had a gig that you couldn't get out of.
Oh my god!
That gig doesn't
Joe, we're at
exist.
the pub with Billy Sheehan and he's giving out free bass lessons.
When are you on holiday next year? Just out of curiosity.
Just so we don't book it.
Yeah, just so we
you know.
definitely do not book
Yeah.
All
the
right.
Billy Sheehan night when
It's
you're
going to
not
be.
here.
I'll tell you when it's going to be. It's going to be the same time as the London Bass Show because he's over for that. He's the main clinic dude there.
There we go. We'll give you all heads up first. So, like I say, come down and see Joe turn into I don't know, some sort of gelatinous form on the ground. Joe, there's a bass question. Do you want to do it in a stupid voice?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. This one is actually from Joe as well.
Weird. It's someone that they joined the Facebook group, didn't have a picture, almost like it was you. No, go on.
Can anybody point me towards a overdrive-like pedal for bass that can cover a wide range of punk? Anything under 100 pounds would be great. BTW, I'm putting a Fender Mark Hoppus P-Bass through it, if that helps.
Where?
Can you repeat?
What even was that?
Can you repeat the question? I literally didn't understand.
It started off Scottish and then somewhere else entirely. So something basically
He
a
needs
drive
drive pedal for
a
bass,
drive pedal for
and
bass.
he's using the Mark Hoppus P-Bass, which is a great P-Bass.
under 100 quid.
100
Yeah,
quid.
tricky. I mean, the Mark Hoppus P-Bass has got Seymour Duncan quarter pounders in it, so anything you use is going to
Sound awesome.
It's going to be really, really hot in there. Anyway, for under 100 quid, it's quite a tricky one actually, because most bass drives tend to be either over or dramatically under. So I don't know. An obvious one for under 100 quid would be the Big Muff, just the standard Big Muff Pi.
Yeah.
For sort of just over £50, and it sounds brilliant. I mean, they've made them exactly the same way for a long time, and they continue to be really brilliant.
Changed
How
the
much
power
is
input recently, so it's not exactly the same.
Okay. Fair.
It's now
But they
a
do
normal-
don't they do the nano bass?
Yeah.
Krista's the man, really. Krista,
and
what's
there's the deluxe as well.
is there
now
a
with the blend.
nano bass Big
Yeah,
Muff?
there's a nano one. It's pretty much the same circuit as the
Just
regular
a
bass
more
Big Muff.
convenient size.
Smaller
But
And
they
how
have-
much
they
is the
have-
deluxe?
Deluxe is 80 quid, and that's the one I'd go for.
Yeah,
Because
definitely
it's
having
got a
that
gate,
blend.
it's got a blend, it's
Yeah.
got a DI out, it's got a switchable low pass and high pass crossover. So for not much more money, it sounds as big and fat and juicy as a regular bass Big Muff, but it's you can have much more control and much less background noise when you're not playing with the gate on it. So that's kind of worth it.
And for punk, I guess as
absolutely.
well, you want something like tight sounding, because having
You
the
can
noise
take the
gate
gain
come
off, so you can still and you can blend in like your clean sound as well.
Right.
Because if you with the regular Big Muff, if you got too much gain on it, or even if it's just halfway, you still lose a lot of the attack.
Yeah.
So that would be
For
perfect
punk,
for like
the
blending.
Big
Can
Muff
we
would
can we
almost
swap
be
you
too
out for
much.
Jake? Because it sounded like you knew what you were talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Hold on, can we not swap them out for
Joe.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. Then
and
we're
here's
going to go.
Krista for bass related queries?
Oh,
How much is a Sans amp? 180 quid or
yeah,
something?
exactly.
Yeah,
so
187.
I mean, they're
Yeah,
going to
they're
be
a lot of
punching
money.
way over. I would always suggest
yeah.
that as a bass
I mean, they're
drive.
so good. They sound so good.
Yeah, I think you use a Sans amp on your board, don't you? You've got the
Technically, I
VT.
use
We've
the
both got the VT.
VT
bass.
bass.
Yeah.
Do you use yours as a preamp or do you use it as a drive pedal?
I never turn it off.
Right. Okay.
Like a
That
good
tell you?
compressor.
So it's a drive pedal then.
it's a more good or
I
a
use
box,
it like
basically.
a compressor, as in I never.
Yeah.
as in,
Yeah.
like,
It's a more
kind
good
of-
box.
You turn up the good.
Yeah, the good bit.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
leave
yeah.
it on.
Has anyone else here got a question? If not, I think we should do one more. Has anyone else got anything to ask? If not, we'll take one from the forum. Go on.
Me again. I just kind of mentioned this earlier, just before we started recording, about the 2015 sort of Gibson range,
Mhm.
and that there seems to be, as far as I'm aware, only 2 basses in the new range, and each of them are only available in 1 finish, and that specifically on the new Thunderbird, all of the new features, which is mainly down to the tappable pickups and the high contact bridge, are off the 2013 EV. So there doesn't seem to be much sort of innovation, or I don't want to go out and say care coming out to the bass players, but just like, what's that about? Is there a company policy thing that I haven't heard about? Or?
No,
I don't certainly stream that. I mean, they've streamlined across the board for 2015.
Yeah,
but
I mean, well, it's kind of been a process over the last few years, hasn't it? You know, like we said, more focus on Les Pauls and SGs, things like the Explorers.
you
And
got to remember, it was only a year ago they discontinued everything pointy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Flying Vs and the Explorers have kind of dropped out of the range, and I think they made quite a concerted effort over the last 2 years to try other stuff on the bases, things like the EBs.
Well, we had the EBs, the Rippers. We saw sort of signature models coming out because we got
the Vosilic
RD,
and
yeah.
In the RD,
so there has been quite a lot. I think almost like they've been giving quite a lot, and this year they've kind of stripped it back a bit. Obviously, you know, they've made quite a few changes to the Les Paul and stuff. So I think it'll come back in the same way that, and it will probably do it kind of almost on the sly, like on the pointy side of things. We've seen way more like signature models, things like the Lizzie Hale, Explorer. I think keep an eye out for more stuff like that.
And you've got to remember, it's not. It doesn't mean you can only get SGs and Thunderbirds now, because a lot of the 2014 stuff is still available. I mean, some of the 2013 stuff is still available on the bass front as well. So they've still got plenty of stock of those things. So it's not like you can't get any of the EBs.
I think it's just that I mean, in the same way, kind of in the same way as how the American Standard Strat is the 2000. I mean, it doesn't say it on the ticket anymore, but it's the 2012 American Standard Strat. It's just that they're still available. They just haven't. They didn't bring out a new one. They didn't update it. I think because the EV was so good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, I don't really need to change it. Just keep going.
They've not. I don't think they've kept any models the same from last year at all across the range, have they?
What, for 2050?
Yeah.
Everything has some spec change.
Yeah. So I think it's more that they're doing that just across the board, really. So if they'd have gone, here's the EBs again, then that would go against what they've done with the rest of the line. So I think you can still buy the 2014 EBs to some extent, and then they've changed the spec.
Because 2014 was a marquee year for Gibson,
120th.
120th.
120th. So you know all those guitars that you sold for the last 18 months, they've had 120th on the fretboard.
Can we cut that?
We'll cut that bit. Yeah. If you
We'll
guys go away for a minute, we'll work out how to make Jay not say that, and then you come back.
So 2014 was a marquee year for this.
I thought we'd got away with this so far, because normally the amount of cuts that we have to do, the reason there's a week delay in it going up is not editing it.
Yeah, it's just marquee year, etc.
Yeah, very good. So let's do one more question. Let's go with. Okay, this is an easy one.
Can we do this quick question? Yeah, the Marks question.
No, because we talk about that a lot. Let's take the one from Stephen, who is talking about power supplies, because I just want to get a kind of feeling from the group as to what people use. Do you want to do the voice?
Can you just
yes. Yeah, I will do. Which one am I doing?
Stephen.
Hello, folks. Getting myself a pedalboard together and looking for a power supply that's cheap and as quiet as possible. I only have about 40 quid to spend. Is the one spot my best bet?
I was wondering that the sort of old lady character you seem to have done there, was she actually going to make it to the end of that sentence? Expecting someone to die halfway through your question, either one of the audience from listening to you or your own character. Just a quick one on terms of power supplies. We've talked about them quite a lot in the last few weeks. What's everyone using? One spots, people using the Visual Sound stuff, Voodoo Labs, batteries.
Chameleon.
Oh, the fuel tank.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuel tank Chameleon.
Get all the extra 12s in there.
Well, I haven't actually got any.
Pedalboard
so you've just got a fuel tank there, nothing plugged into it.
It's just like green, right? Is that what it is?
The power supply
like
has to be green. Yeah.
Everyone else?
Anyone else? Pedalboard supplies? What are you using? Nothing. Multi-effects.
Nice.
Okay.
Which one?
G3.
Oh, okay,
Zoom. The
Nice.
Zoom one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
I actually
totally
really want to
wicked.
see someone who is actually doing a John 5 style thing and running all their pedalboard on batteries.
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't he only use one pedal?
3.
Okay.
I know a couple of touring bands who have done that just simply because it's easier if you're coming over from the States, just to have batteries preloaded. You don't have to worry about getting voltage changing or plug changing. So yeah, I have seen people.
But then that's the joy of the one spot.
To answer the question, the one spot is definitely your best bet, isn't it?
Yeah,
if you just want a fairly inexpensive power supply that will do loads of pedals, I would suggest if you're using an extensive pedal board and you haven't got one already, definitely pick one up. Is that everything? You guys done for questions? Go on, one more question.
On the Facebook invite, said there'd be food and drink. Have you got any nibbles?
There was. We had some Pringles. I've been drinking a water all the way through.
I know, quick one as well. Electroharmonics, the organ machines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just heard they're bringing out another one.
The C9.
Is that kind of aimed at a different sound, or is
It is,
kind of
yeah.
more
It's
the
a whole
same?
new set of.
It's got like
more
a
like
fluffy
rocky
and
It's
stuff.
it's more organs basically. It's Morgans. Yes, it's Morgans.
It's got like I love my favorite preset on there is Rock Lord, which is obviously when they demoed it and they played Smoke on the Water, and then you're like, yeah, well that is that
It's the
sound.
sound.
So now
Yeah.
we're going to hear that in its proper tone. But I think it's got like Telstar on there as well, which is like old electric piano.
Yeah, I think they're doing. It's not necessarily organs. There's kind of like farfeezery stuff. I guess technically is an organ, but not in like a
I think the
Hammond
modulation
style.
controls work differently on that as well.
Yeah,
think
be
it's-
interesting to
Is
see.
it aimed at a different sort of user?
I think it's if you want the full spectrum of stuff,
Just
get
more-
both
more
basically.
variation.
Yeah.
But you know what? I saw a really good demo of someone using the B9 through an old Casio kids keyboard, like just a 2-octave one, just a little electric piano. Someone plugged a B9 into it, and it sounded like a proper Hammond.
I hadn't thought about that. Cheap way of getting yourself a Hammond organ.
Yeah.
Go to a
So
charity
actually,
shop
like
and pick
so
up a-
keyboards, if you want a good alternate sound to a keyboard, something like that. Like if you've got like
Keyboard into a
into a B9. Because that's what it is. You don't necessarily, and actually it works really well because obviously the way.
I suppose the thing is when you're playing the B9 and I assume the C9, you can't just.
You've got a voice
I
chords.
can't play it. You can't just go like
Well, again, you can't play guitar,
Well, I mean,
so that's
that
the
is
main
inherent
problem.
issue. But you've got to play it kind of like
If you
like
if you
a
see
piano.
any of the demos, you see that people kind of use maybe use their thumb for a low note, which is kind of like a root note, and then your fingers for playing a higher melody, which is what you would do if you were playing two hands on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Rather than kind of playing. It's the same as using some of the synth stuff. If you go and play a trumpet, you don't play a trumpet like you play a C chord.
Play guitar. I do. I get one. I'm rubbish at trumpet. It's really bad. Really bad. On that, I think we should call it a night. Thanks everyone for coming down. Thanks for watching on the live stream if you have been. Thanks for listening to this if you have been listening to it not live. It might be quite a weird one to listen to. Do go back and check the regular
Or you
podcast.
could listen to it with the.
You could watch.
What?
The
Why would you
video
do
is
that?
probably going up on YouTube, so that would make more sense.
And
But
then
if
watch
you
it with surround sound, and then sit in the middle, so then it sounds like.
or just invite us around for a cup of tea and a slice of cake. I'm there. We can do this
pay us,
again.
mate.
It'd
We'll
be
still
fine.
pay
Whoa. I wonder what this podcast would sound like through an ME80 with everything on.
I mean, we have the facility to do that right now.
Done.
Let's do it. Good. Thanks for coming out. As always, do join us on the Facebook group as these lovely people have in the room. Facebook.com/groups/Guitar Nerds group, or the regular GAK Facebook page, Facebook.com/GAK Music, or on Twitter @GAK_co_UK, or on Instagram, which is GAK_music.
Yeah, why not?
Good.
Yeah.
And join if you want to talk to me on Twitter about live podcasting @Mark_random on Twitter. How can people get in touch with you, Jay?
You got through
that was
it.
good. That
You
was
got
good.
time. Live.
That's good.
I've been practicing. It's the only bit that I was nervous
That's
for.
all you do at home, isn't it?
Yeah, I just talk. That'd be weird.
Just as an aside, before I make my exit,
I wish you would.
someone someone in the shop yesterday said. It was James Watts, one of the other guys who works here. He was like, "What's the GAK Facebook page?" And I was like, "Oh, it's
See, that's what I go through every week.
I genuinely I couldn't remember,
You have
despite
to
the
go
fact that
through
we
the whole
have to-
ending of
yeah,
the podcast.
to do the whole
Thanks
thing.
very much. The GAK is it GAK _co?
No, that's
Twitter.
Twitter,
Yeah.
Twitter.
I couldn't remember. And to be honest with you, despite the fact that as soon as you started this sentence, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to tell that story." I've already forgotten what the GAK
Good.
Facebook page is.
Brilliant.
Again.
Just tell them where they can find you.
At JBM1. Thanks.
Good. Matt Knight.
You can get me on Twitter at Matt. Yeah, at Matt_Knight, Knight with SIE on the end, or email me matt.knight@gak.co.uk.
Joe Branton.
That was good. You can email me on joe.branton joseph@gak.co.uk, or on Twitter at @Joseph_900, or on Instagram at Joseph900. I left the underscore out of that. I don't know why. I should have kept them the same.
All mine are the same.
Yeah,
JBM1.
Yeah.
sensible. Yeah.
Good job you work in marketing, isn't it?
JYBM1.
It's good.
Good. Thanks everyone for coming out. I hope you've had a good time. Let's go to the pub and we'll get some food and drink, I guess. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Woo.
Yeah, very